Hello everyone and welcome to I Should Read That. Today I'm going to be doing my October TBR. So I split my monthly reading roundup into two parts, which have already been posted. So that's my book haul for the month, which includes stuff that I've either bought or was sent by publishers. And then I did my sort of reading roundup. If you saw my book haul post, you saw that there are a lot of books that I acquired this month. I ended up with 23 new books, I think. And so I'm starting to feel a little bit anxious about my reading and how much I'm reading and feeling like I'm not going to be getting through enough. So October is going to be the month for me. It's going to be very, very busy because I have a lot of stuff planned and I've made some commitments to things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break things down into sort of categories. So first of all is Victober. I am really excited for Victober and I've already done a Victober video. I can link it down below. But now I'm going to be starting on the books that I said that I would read in that month. So Jane Eyre is the first one. Charlotte Bronte. I've read Wuthering Heights. I wasn't wild about it. I think that I went in expecting something completely different and I've just never really managed to read any of the Brontes since. But I think that now is the perfect opportunity to read Jane Eyre. It's kind of spooky and kind of dark and all of that. I think it's going to be a good one. So this is kind of my top priority for the month and for Victober. I've started it. I am, as of the filming of this video, I'm about 14 pages in, which is not far at all. But I'm planning, once I finish my current read, I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to power through Jane Eyre. And I'm really looking forward to that. So next on the list, this is going to be much easier because I'll be able to kind of parcel it out, and that is Henry James's The Turn of the Screw. So they're short stories. Turn of the Screw is the last one. I'll probably read that first and then I'll loop back around and read through the rest of them. But with Turn of the Screw and other stories, I'll be able to kind of read one as I'm reading sort of some of my other stuff. So I can still feel like I'm getting stuff for Victober done, but not necessarily have to read a huge long novel in order to do that. So the last on my Victober TBR, and this is kind of like a stretch goal. I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to get to this, but that is Heart of Midlothian by Sir Walter Scott. And I love, everything that has to do with Scotland. This book is based in Edinburgh. I love historical fiction, and though it is a Victorian novel, it is also a historical fiction novel. So I don't really know much about this book. I know that it is a longer one, and I kind of had to weigh up Heart of Midlothian and Jane Eyre and see which one was going to be more of a priority for me, and that was Jane Eyre. So if I have a chance and I have the time, then I will definitely be reading Heart of Midlothian. Next up is book club. I am part of a wonderful book club here in Oxford, and we read specifically fantasy books. And so we've done, I think this will be our fourth. Pretty sure this is going to be our fourth. And that is actually our wonderful host's favorite book, or at least one of his favorite books. It's actually one of my favorite books because I've already read this. That's Mistborn: The Final Empire. So this is the first Mistborn book. If you know anything about Mistborn, there is the first trilogy, of which this is the first, and then there is a second trilogy, which I think I've actually just learned is going to be 4 books rather than a trilogy. Brandon Sanderson, he's going to churn them out anyway. But I love this book so much. I am currently reading the 5th one, which you'll see later on. And, just the way that he connects things. Everything is connected. Everything is intentional. Every single thing that he does. And I really want to go back to the beginning and sort of see how everything connects together, see how the foreshadowing is, and just kind of experience it all over again, because I loved this book when I read it. So the next category that I have, I told you guys that I was going to be quite busy. The next category I have is review copies, books that are going to be released soon, proof copies, that kind of thing. So these were all sent to me by publishers. And I really want to step up my game in terms of releasing stuff around the publication date, especially for debut authors. I just think that it's such an important thing to do, and it's something that I, as a reader, can maybe give authors a little bit of a hand. I have a soft spot for authors. My sister is an author. And I think that this is just the thing that I would like to do. So I have 5 books on my list of books that are going to be coming out soon. So the first is actually one of my current reads, and that is The Last Nemasara, and that's by Kirsten Cicerelli. And This is her debut novel. I actually realized that this is the only debut novel that I have on this list, which is kind of a shame. But this is her debut novel. I'm about 40 pages in as of this filming. And I just think it's immediately so incredibly engaging. I really am really liking it. I'm kind of powering through my other current reads so that I can get back to this. I think that this is going to be a very easy book for me to just power through. It's not only is it gorgeous, which helps. I mean, look at that. But it's also just a really interesting story. So it's about Asha. She is a dragon slayer. When she was a child, she made this huge mistake, and she did something, which we find out about pretty quickly, but I still won't say what it is. She did something, and it had huge, horrible consequences. So basically, she's become a dragon slayer in order to atone for her sin. And it's sort of, her wedding is coming up. This wedding that she really does not want. And again, this is all part of her atoning. And she finds out that if she can do this one last task, if she can slay this one last dragon, then she'll be kind of free of her debt to her people. So far, it's really good. She's a very kind of no-nonsense type heroine, which I very much love. She's kind of very badly disfigured from scars from her actions as a dragon slayer. Kind of half of her body is very badly scarred. And I just think that it is so cool, and I'm really enjoying it. I like her as a character. She's very kind of, as I said, she's very no-nonsense. She knows exactly what she needs to do, even if she doesn't want to do it. So I think that this is going to end up being a really great book. This comes out in the UK on the 14th of October, so it's definitely one to keep an eye out for. I think it's one of those that just everyone is reading right now. Everyone is talking about it right now. And I think that from what I've seen, just reviews are coming in and they are so positive. So I'm really looking forward to adding my voice to that. So next up we have Stephen Donaldson's The Seventh Decimate. So if you don't know him, he was a kind of very popular writer, I think in the 80s. He's a fantasy writer. He wrote this series called The Chronicles of Thomas Covenant. And I don't believe he's written much since then, or that series has ended. I haven't actually read any of his other books, but I know his name quite well. And so this is his new book. Oh, he's written tons of stuff. Oh my goodness. So this is his new book. This is coming out in November, and I want to get a head start on this. I'm really looking forward to this. I've never read anything of his before. I know very little, however, this is high on my list of priorities. It's not very long. It looks like it's just over 300 pages, so I'm thinking that I'm going to be able to blast through this. I'm really looking forward to it. So the last two in this particular category are two of my most highly anticipated books, and so you've heard me yammer on about these before, but bear with me for another moment. The first is Artemis by Andy Weir. I love Andy Weir. I love The Martian so much, both the book and the film. I think that the film is one of the best adaptations of a book that I've ever seen. So when I found out that he was writing this new book, I was like, I need to have it. It looks so cool. It's about like a heist on the moon, and it's got a female character as the lead. The proof has maps, which I hope make it into the final copy. It's going to be so cool. This comes out in November. It is November 14th, and I think that it's just going to be so much fun. So this is a little bit like, I want to, read this and review this for its publication day, so I want to get ahead, but also I'm being selfish and I really want to read this for my own sake. And so the last one is one, again, that I've talked about a lot before. It is the sequel to one of my favorite books of 2017, and that is The Girl in the Tower. The weather is starting to turn here in the UK. It's now October, of course, and I feel like sort of the cold weather and getting yourself snuggled up under a duvet with a hot drink is the perfect atmosphere for The Bear and the Nightingale. So I'm really looking forward to doing the same for The Girl in the Tower. This book doesn't come out until January. It's low on my list of priorities in terms of stuff that I really need to get done. It is high on my list of priorities of books that I just really want to read. So I'm so looking forward to this book. It's a little bit on the longer side in terms of some of these other ones. Looks like it's just over 350 pages. So, you know, it's going to be great. I love The Bear and the Nightingale. I've been beating everyone over the head to read it because it was just so sort of, I bought it on a whim and it was kind of fresh and new, and I loved it. I completely fell in love with it. I fell in love with the story and the characters. I was reluctant to hear that there was a sequel because I did not realize it was going to be a trilogy. However, I came around, and I think that it's going to be really good. So I'm interested to see where she takes our heroine's story, because I thought that the first book ended so incredibly perfectly. So the very last category is a list of my books that I'm just really looking forward to reading. You know, unfortunately, some of these are going to be lower priority for me just in terms of how much I read. We'll see how it goes. But a lot of these you'll have already seen in my previous 2 videos because most of them are new. So we'll start with the new ones, and I will kind of breeze through them quickly because you've already seen me yammer on about them before. So the first is Skin Full of Shadows by Frances Hardinge. I'm actually seeing her. She's coming to Oxford sometime in next month. I need to double check my calendar. And she is signing more copies of this book. This is the signed Waterstones edition. Maybe I'll buy another one and give one away. I don't know. But regardless, I am looking forward to this. Ideally, I'd like to read it before she comes through, but we'll see if that happens. Next up are 2 books by one of my favorite authors. You hear me talk about her all the time. So that is The Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo. Gorgeous, gorgeous book. It's all sort of folk tales from her Grisha universe, which is where all of her books so far that I know of have taken place. Correct me if I'm wrong. And, you know, it's beautiful. It's fairy tales. You know, it looks nice. I'm really looking forward to this. There's not much more that I can say about this book because you guys already know how excited I am. So next up, need to read this book, and that is Warbringer. Dear God, why have I not read this yet? I was so desperate to get my hands on it, and I was so excited the day that I ended up getting it, and it's been sitting on my nightstand. I'm really mad at myself, in case you can't tell. I'm going to read this month. This is going to happen this month. So the last 2 books are books that I have not bought this month. So the first one, you've seen me talk about it before, Shadows of Self. I really struggled to get into this. I was really reading it because I wanted to finish them all up before my book club met up, but that's probably not going to happen. I'll probably get through this one and then loop back around to Mistborn. As I said, you know, I'm getting close to the end. You know, less than 100 pages. I think I'm at 90 pages to go, so hopefully I'll finish that tonight. If not, I'll finish it tomorrow. It has picked up so considerably. Like, seriously, the first 120 pages or so, 120, 130 pages or so were pretty dire for me. I really struggled. The only reason that I gave this more than my usual 100 pages was because I love Brandon Sanderson so much. He's one of my all-time favorite authors, as I've said a million times before. I'm glad that I gave this another shot, but that beginning was really slow. It has picked up. I'm really liking it now, so I think I'm going to be able to power through the rest of this. So the last book that I have here is actually one that I have not talked about yet. I picked it up at Yelk because it seems to be a book that really divides people. People either absolutely love it or they're like, I don't get it, I hate it, disappointed, whatever. And that is Illuminate, and so that's by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. So I think that one of the reasons that this book divides people is because it's almost like a sci-fi epistolary novel, if that makes any sense. So epistolary novels are novels that are basically just made up of letters. This was very popular kind of pre-Victorian and Victorian times, I think, more sort of, you know, pre-Victorian, I think. And you basically read the correspondence going back and forth between 2 people. This looks like it's a lot of like, okay, so we've got a memorandum here, classified. We have a casualty list here. We have, this looks like a list of instant messages. We have briefing notes. Like, there's so much that kind of pieces this together, and I don't think it's a traditional novel. And this is complete speculation, so if you actually didn't like this book, let me know why, because I'm very curious, but I think it might be because it's a little bit, you know, it's not a straight narrative, it's a little bit experimental. I think it looks cool. I love epistolary novels, and, you know, I've never read a modern one, so I'm still flipping through this and looking at all of the, like, look at this. that's cool. So I think that this is going to be really interesting. Some people whose opinions I really like and really trust have really loved this. I also said on my blog in the comments at some point, please, shame me if I haven't read this book in October. So I gotta read it or else, guys, I'm gonna get shamed. So we'll see how this goes. I think it's gonna be really freaking cool. I'm really looking forward to this. I don't know anything about it. I just know, basically what the inside looks like. So I said that Illuminate was my last book on the list. It is actually not, and the reason that I did not realize that I had one more is because Sophia the cat decided to rub her face on my stack of books earlier and completely knocked them all over the floor. So this was like in the corner of the room. So sorry about that. She's currently rubbing her face on the stack of books again. I think that I need to learn my lesson here. So the actual last book on the list is one I've been hearing a lot about. I think it came out quite recently, and I got it last month, I wasn't originally planning on buying it and reading it, but I've heard such amazing things. I've heard such good things, and sometimes you need your heart to be ripped out of your chest by a book. So that is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. This book is gonna make me cry so hard. Like, the hint is in the title, you guys. So I believe it's kind of near future, and essentially, society, I think, is fairly normal, fairly similar to, what we've got now, except the day that you are going to die, you get a phone call that says, hey, today is your last day, spend it wisely, whatever. So there's an app, I believe, that kind of connects people on the day that they're going to die, so they don't have to spend the day alone. So this is about two people, and they are both going to die at the end of this day. They end up getting this phone call. I'm going to cry so hard. I think that this is going to be a book for me to kind of read alone in the flat. Maybe don't bring this to work, because I will probably embarrass myself. So I'm really looking forward to this. Again, I probably wouldn't have picked it up if I hadn't heard about the hype, but it sounds wonderful. He sounds like a wonderful author, so I am really looking forward to this. Ideally, I would like to read 8. I read 8 books in September. I want to read 8 books in October. With the Victorian literature, that might be a little bit difficult because as much as I love it, it does take me much longer to get through it. We'll see what happens. We'll see how this goes. But I have actually started doing a sort of weekly reading vlog. I'm on day 2 because I started it on Saturday. So you'll be able to kind of if you're interested, you can kind of keep up with what I'm going to be reading and how my, progress goes throughout the week. You can see what it's like in the I Should Read That household with the 2 manic kittens who like to knock over piles of books with their faces. And so I'm planning on maybe posting those on Friday, so tune back in if you're interested. Let me know what you're planning to read in October, if you're going to participate in Victober, if you want to read any of these books, if you picked up any of these books. If you loved or hated any of these books because you've read them already, definitely let me know. I will link the videos that I talk about below. I will also link my social media and my blog, and you'll be able to find me all over the internet if you are so inclined. So let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you soon.